And now, ladies and gentlemen, the So Bros Network proudly brings to you some in-depth movie discussion with our resident film critic, Brandon Vick.
Happy evening, everyone. The Vick's Flicks podcast is here.
Welcome into a live broadcast of the Vick's Flicks podcast right here, coming to you on the road, Memphis, Tennessee, the back corner of a hotel room. You could probably tell, like, we're carrying our gear in through here, and these people probably think these sleazy, dirtbag, scumbag guys are coming here to film some dirty movies.
No, I had Coppola wine.
But you had the Coppola wine.
Yeah.
I think that's what saved us. I think the staff saw us and were like,
right. Oh, never mind.
They're not doing anything dirty,
right?
Because they have the Coppola wine. If we had Barefoot, I think
they deleted.
They're definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're definitely in
but
it. So.
When she saw that Coppola wine, she deleted that email.
Yeah.
Said, nope, I'm not going to.
She hung up the phone. Told 911, don't worry about it for now.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's just a toolbox and a bottle of Coppola wine.
Bottle of Coppola.
And some mic stands that probably look like blunt instrument weapons.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And when I had to ask for a chair from their breakfast
because
sitting room.
We had Stephen McCash, our utility man, who's down here helping us cover the festival. We thought, hey, Thursday night, we're going to get in and we can rattle off some drinking with episodes, which is what we did. We talked about a few movies that you will hear in your podcast feeds December, January, and February. We stay ahead of the game on that show, but there's only 2 chairs in this hotel room and you and I are occupying them. So we had to get one. So we just went down
our toes.
We just went down to the hotel lobby and said, hey, can we take one of these chairs upstairs? And she said very nicely, very politely, yeah, just as long as you bring it back by the end of the night. And then she forgot about it when it was 11 o'clock at night, and we brought that chair the lobby with that chair because we're men of our word.
That's right. We brought that damn chair back.
That's right.
And had a little more fluids than it did before.
Well, don't put that on the air.
But
we are live on
that's right.
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
But yeah.
Yeah, so it's been
busy since we showed up here yesterday.
I'm Stoney Keeley, by the way, Big Natural,
hey.
the EIC at So Bros Network, host of the Vick's Flicks podcast, here with the man whose namesake the show bears. He is our resident film critic. He's a board member of the Music City Film Critics Association. He's a member of the Southeastern Film Critics Association. We call him Mr. Big Shot, Brandon Vick. Brandon, how you feeling today? We're here, man. We got day 1 in the books. We're going to recap it. We're going to preview day 2.
Yeah.
What we have going on. We're going to talk about the city of Memphis a little bit. This is an exciting trip. I always love when we can pack up the gear, hit the road, and talk film festivals.
Yeah, well, this is our first time doing this one.
Yeah.
So we can. It's been pretty cool. We haven't really gotten into it. A lot of stuff we've been able to watch online.
2 movies in.
Yeah. So, but we're going to be going to the theater today. We're going to be picking up our fancy badges.
Yeah. I hear they have our names on it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool.
But yeah, I mean, we kind of saw a little bit of the city last night.
Yeah.
Ate at a pretty cool restaurant.
Blue City Cafe. It came number 1 recommendation from our buddy Zach Lyons.
I was talking about Red Robin.
And
sorry.
We can give the review of the Red
man.
Robin in Jackson, Tennessee, if you want to, because
that's all right.
I tell you, I'm happy to put in a good word for him because we got those cold beers and there was ice on the mug.
Those onion rings.
And the onion rings, crispy, hot, fresh. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Red Robin, in my opinion.
But back, Blue City Cafe out on Bill Street.
Yeah, man, that was the truth. I had the catfish plate and that food came out like that. I mean, it was crazy.
I'm going to say they already had it fixed and just waiting.
Yeah. It was funny because you mentioned Beale Street separate when we were sitting here with McCash last night. You mentioned Beale Street and I'm texting with Zach as we're doing a show. And he says, if you like one place, go to Blue City Cafe. I hadn't told you guys that. But when you mentioned Beale Street, McCash was like, I want to take you to this place called Blue City Cafe. So the number 1 recommendation from the 2 Memphis guys in our circle. And we're like, hell yeah, let's go check it out. And we did. And man, the fried catfish plate with the steak fries, coleslaw, tartar sauce, hush puppies came out like that. Big piece of Texas toast with it. really good stuff. But man, I had a cup of turnip greens that changed my life. I mean,
you wanted to bring a bucket back and put it in the tub.
Just fill the tub, and then I'll
Fill the tub
just
up
go
with it.
through with a big serving spoon every once in a while and just take a slurp
big
of them.
yeah. And if someone
Slurp on
takes a
them.
shower, fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna bathe
Who
in it.
cares?
I'll get completely nude and bathe in the turnip greens. We're gonna save that for the paywalled content though. You can't just see that on Twitter.
You don't just hand that out.
But they were good, like very well seasoned, cooked to perfection. There's a little bit of, I think it was sausage in it. It had a very like almost a spicy, savory kind of texture to it, and it added a really, really, really zestful flavor to it that popped.
You were head over heels for it. You're apologizing to your granny.
Yeah, I know. Well, all due respect to my granny, they're the best turnip greens I've ever had in my life.
My
So Blue City Cafe gets a ringing endorsement from this bunch. And then we took a little stroll around Beale Street. By the way, if you are watching live with us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you take in your live broadcast, hop in the comments. Let us know what you're up to on this fine Friday. If there's anything that you've watched from Indie Memphis so far, if there's anything you're looking forward to, join the discussion in the comments there, and we'll get to them as they come in. But yeah, taking a little walk around Memphis. I think this is a city that kind of gets a bad rap. We were talking about that a little bit last night. I haven't been here in 11 years, and it has changed quite a bit since then, because when we came, posted up at the Rum Boogie Cafe, the FedEx Forum is like right across the street, about a block away maybe. And the people at Rum Boogie told us, like, don't walk past this street. Like, if you go to FedEx Forum, don't go any far past it. And now there's like a whole block of just neon signs, bright lights. There's a tin roof down there. Yeah. Place called Alfred's that you and I were kind of itching to check out too.
Yeah, that looks like
a whole block has developed here. And with McCash as our guide, taking a stroll back to the car, we were just kind of walking along. And I think he said it best, where he's like, you can see the signs of life in this city where it's kind of coming around. And maybe it does have a bit of a bad rap, but it feels like there is a concerted effort to kind of make this a more viable entertainment city in that regard, as far as like places to go, foot traffic and stuff. And it felt like that. It felt really, really nice walking by the Orpheum Theater at night.
What is that, Main Street?
Yeah.
Is that what I think McCash is a big fan of Main Street, which that looked cool. There's a lot of parts that's outside of that downtown area that I don't think a lot of people realize, and I think that's where some of its charm, life, energy comes from. You're talking about the Orpheum. What a beautiful theater. I've never been inside though.
I haven't either. Yeah, I haven't spent a whole lot of time in Memphis, but every time I've been down here, it's been a blast. We've had a good time for sure.
I've only, as far as I know, I've only been here once. That's when we took a very quick trip. We watched the Grizzlies and the Cavs when LeBron played the first time.
It was OJ Mayo hitting a 3 to send the game into overtime, and then the Grizzlies actually won.
That was an awesome game.
It was like 2009. That's been a minute.
But that was it. We did that. Ate at Huey's.
Yeah.
Where they throw toothpicks in the ceilings, you write on the walls.
Well, McCash told us they can't do the toothpicks anymore because
you can't
of COVID.
do that.
Yeah.
Then ate at Denny's the next morning and headed home.
Yeah, which is real foodies in Memphis, which is a great food town.
That's right. And we went to Huey's and Denny's.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, let's talk a little bit about Indie Memphis, because this is a festival that has deep roots in the city of Memphis. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the 27th year that they're doing this festival.
Yeah.
A lot of the screenings are going to be taking place in the studio at the Square. Did I get that right?
It's a Malco. Great. The Malco Theater is all around Memphis. Yeah. But yes,
it's in the
that
Overton
one in the
Square area.
Is it Crosstown?
Yeah, Crosstown.
Which apparently is beautiful, which I guess we just need to go look at, because I don't think any of our screenings are there.
No, not at the moment.
Yeah.
Unless things change, we're not heading over there. But the Overton Square area, beautiful, trendy part of the city. Cool. Looks like a cool place to hang out. That's where we'll be heading today. What is on the schedule for today?
So we have a Boys Go to Jupiter, which I think mixes a lot of different animation styles about telling this kind of coming of age tale, and that's in Florida. And then there is the documentary. What's her name?
Dory Previn.
Dory Previn,
On My Way to Where is the name of the film. Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the last one. We're kind of doing a back to back as far as in theater stuff.
Yeah.
But I know it kind of deals with her mental health. and I think she was an advocate in the end and trying to make people aware of it. And I especially during a time when I don't think people were talking about it, much less trying to find some kind of, comfort, or I don't want to say fix, but, having the opportunity to seek help. I think she kind of had to do it the hard way, but I'm interested in that because I actually don't know a whole lot about her. So I think it sounded pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to those. So that's today. There's Black Box Diaries.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot of talk on these kind of end of the year documentary lists, and it deals with kind of sexual assault in, I want to say if it's in Japan, Korea, one of those spots. I don't have it right in front of me, but it is it's playing at Indie. I think it's tonight or tomorrow night, Saturday, but it's also on virtual if you want to catch it that way.
Which there is a blend of virtual cinema and in-person screenings at this festival. Like it seems like
the opening night one was a kind of like you could see it there, you could watch it online.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they have a lot of nice options.
So what are some of the highlights? Maybe obviously we haven't seen a lot of these yet because the screenings haven't taken place. But if you were a Memphian looking to maybe get out this weekend, what are some of the screenings that are generating enough buzz that you're excited about, or that you might pass along to our viewers, our listeners, that they could go check out?
Well, there's a couple of animated ones. There's one called Flow that got a lot of good buzz. It's it doesn't have any dialogue, but it's basically kind of taken place in this kind of future world where it seems like the world is ending, and it's basically this black cat.
Yeah.
Trying to survive, persevere, meets these other animals along the way. And it's a fantasy animation, but it is quite very grounded, and using the animation is beautiful, but having no dialogue and just kind of seeing it and experiencing it visually, it's very effective that way.
Yeah.
And there's one that I've been telling you about because I saw it in the Nashville Film Festival, and it's also playing here, called Memoir of a Snail. And
that's getting a lot of buzz. Like, that's getting some like Oscar Best Animated Feature.
Yeah,
buzz.
I think that's highly likely. I really do. And it's a Sarah Snook.
Yeah.
From Succession, Jackie Weaver. It's a great cast, but it's kind of about this brother and sister that get split up. But the way that a snail is as a metaphor, as kind of just letting rather love not happen, or not letting it in, or letting it in. It's really good. It's one of the best films I've seen this year, and definitely one of the best animated ones. Yeah, it's up there.
Prioritize that one. Anything else before we talk about the two movies that we watched on day one?
Well, I think the biggest one is a movie, and it's closing it out on Sunday night at 6:30. And I think the
main event.
That's Nickel Boys.
Nickel Boys. Okay.
And for the past few months, it's been getting the momentum has only been building. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That I think that's kind of the heaviest hitter of the bunch this year.
Yeah.
But it's definitely sounds like it's absolutely worth checking out. I think you'll be hearing a lot about it from here on into Oscars.
Very well. Let's talk about the opening night film.
Yeah.
You alluded to it earlier. There was a screening along with an opening reception last night, but this film was also available virtually. It was called It Was All a Dream, and it was sort of this archival footage from journalist Dream Hampton's catalog from her work with The Source magazine in the 90s. Visual diary, great way of putting it.
It's journalism, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah. But her work for The Source magazine back in the 90s during the boom in hip hop, when you had like the East Coast West Coast rivalry going, you feature artists such as the Notorious B.I.G., Snoop Dogg's heavily featured. I thought Method Man kind of brought a little interesting perspective, like a deeper level of it to the film. But
if there's something that breaks the surface, I think it's the conversations with him.
Yeah.
And somewhat Snoop Dogg, but they're two very different topics.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. But it had Warren G.
Lil Kim.
I think Cypress Hill
is
in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Little Kim and Notorious B.I.G. They're in it.
But I thought I really liked it quite a bit. I think I'm a bit more of a hip hop fan than you are.
Yeah, that's just not it's just hasn't been my jam. Now, I'm not saying I don't like some of the music, but I think my main issue is that there's just times where you're just kind of watching.
Yeah.
But it's hard to argue that if anything's actually happening.
I think it's a fly on the wall perspective.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And sometimes it's interesting.
Yeah.
But for an hour and 20-minute film, I wasn't interested the whole time. And some things I couldn't even kind of make out. It's almost like, it's on the go. She's in the car with B.I.G. They're in the recording studio. She's looks like, I think, talking to Method Man at one point on a ferry, I think in New York. And of course it's separated by because she's going from East Coast to West Coast. So she's kind of seeing from Manhattan and Brooklyn and LA and but there was aspects that I liked. Some of the conversations I think are fascinating. I also think some of them, I don't know if they mean much at all.
Well, I think it's like, I hate to call it the gimmick, but I think the appeal of it is like you're getting to sit in these moments with these iconic figures in music history,
like Puff Daddy.
Well, yeah, that was a little.
He's in it.
I was watching that and was just
it is weird to see.
I'm watching. I don't know about you. I'm like watching his hands the whole time. Like, who is he touching?
Yeah,
yeah. It was a very weird, unsettling feeling. And
it was also kind of haunting when like Notorious B.I.G. is just in like she's basically going into this, their stomping grounds. It's their habitat and it's their way of living. And, and she kind of comments on it a little bit throughout the documentary.
I thought it was really interesting to see her kind of go into that environment and really push back on some of the stuff
she does
about the genre and
yes
holding rappers accountable for this stuff. And they don't really
but it's not really addressed.
They don't really give her an answer.
No, I'm saying it's almost goes unanswered. Like there's nothing. And I think that's part of the issue I think that Dream runs into is that there's definitely these themes. It's not just about
the themes like misogyny,
right?
Obviously,
and much less in that and the culture at that time. And on top of these guys that are, they're legends in hip hop, they're legends in music in general. But a lot of the themes don't really connect for me, and they don't really. It doesn't really have the effect that I think Dream is hoping it does, because it's almost like we kind of we touch it, and there's moments where it's there. It's right there. But then that seems to just disappear rather quickly. And then we kind of get some stuff, like you said, where she's asking the questions, but no one is really taking it that seriously. So instead,
but isn't that an answer in its own right?
It is, but I think at least as a viewer, I don't think you're getting a whole lot of substance out of it, because I think it's already, I think that's already been kind of like she's not breaking new ground by that they don't care. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering what she wanted out of it, because it seems like even then she's not really getting what she needs, or at least maybe the admission of, oh, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to take responsibility or accountability. And those moments where B.I.G. and Lil Kim are talking, but that's so few and far between. And then it's almost like you kind of forget we were going down that road, because now we're back to where Snoop Dogg, which again, I think he's one of the most interesting guys in the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about the same thing again. And then B.I.G., I get why he's in it. Mm-hmm. I don't know all that you have without him in it.
Yeah.
But there's times where I think you are just living in the moment. But then it seems like right when maybe we're going to kind of dig a little, it's over. Like we're done.
I found it particularly compelling to see how the mainstream media painted this East Coast, West Coast thing back in the 90s is like, people are dying over this. Like, this is a civil war of sorts, you know, it's like, this is, you pick a side and you fight. But then in these moments where they're just kind of talking about it, like, these guys just want to make music to get out of their situation.
Right.
Like, this is an answer for a lot of these guys to kind of,
it's an escape out. No matter where.
An escape. Yeah. And it's really interesting to see, because I would have thought going into this, based off what I know
this
of
real
the
bad
era,
blood.
Like, if you even like mention Snoop's name in New York, like, they're going to be fighting, you know, kind of deal. And then they go to Snoop and they talk about him as sort of the answer to what the East Coast was doing. But if you talk to Snoop, he's like, man, we're just trying to like get the message out. Like, we're just trying to make music. And he just seems like
make money, take care of you, take care of your family,
genuinely concerned with the more altruistic aspects of the role, where he's talking about the generation before him took it up to a certain level, and now it's on their generation to take it to the next level, and then so on and so forth. And that's how you get to such a prosperous place with this genre of music. But then we come back to, like, we don't really dig into that nugget in particular. Is like, okay, I want to know further on, and maybe it's just a case where like Dreamhampton just doesn't have footage of them sitting down and talking about this stuff.
I just wonder,
and we're just going through the personal archive,
right, and trying to have this thread that goes through the whole thing.
We go from that nugget, Snoop Dogg as the answer to the East Coast, which I would have liked to have explored more. Like, okay, well, what's Dreamhampton's opinion of how that turned out down the road? Was he ultimately what turned the tide and made this like a massive rivalry? We don't ever really revisit that. Instead, we kind of switch back to like the problems with what's going on and how hip hop is evolving, because they talk about how like women loved it early on, but now they're all talking about bitches and hoes, and it seems like they hate
what is
women.
It? Some are hood rats, some are goddesses, and she doesn't see it that way. They're all goddesses.
I thought it was great commentary, but to your point, it does kind of feel like that's where the commentary ends. Like, we're just going to put the idea out there. And again, it is just kind of a collage. It's like home movies, but like I told you at the breakfast table, she's sticking
to a very strict timeline. So like, I kind of thought the same thing. We're like, hey, you know what? I think you could kind of build on this, and maybe let's get to 2020 something, and let's see, like, oh, here we go. But then I thought, it seems to me she wants to stay within 93 to 96, and like you said, fly on the wall, but it's a moment in time. It's a time capsule piece that she's adding some stuff to it, but it doesn't seem like her goal was to kind of expand on that. It was kind of like, this is where it is. This is how it sits.
My biggest takeaway from it, and the reason I liked this film so much, was because to me, it really, I don't know if this is what I was supposed to take away from the film, but it encapsulated the spirit of journalism to me. Is like, you see Dreamhampton in these rooms with these guys with just a notepad and a pen, taking notes, asking questions, trying to kind of like get the vibe, get the read on what's happening on this scene and in this movement.
Access is it was unbelievable.
It was incredible. And I closed it down at the end of the film and just thought, like, that's an incredible life. Like, that's so cool
now
to be a part of that and to be around all these key figures. But like, I don't want to say Dreamhampton wasn't involved, because obviously she was, but it's an observation. Like, you're there to document this. And even when the managing editor in the clip at the beginning is talking about how, like, years from now, they're going to come back to the source as the definitive chronicle of this era in hip hop. And you think, like, man, to get to be a part of something like that, it had to be so cool.
But, and I guess I wish that would have somehow transferred over to me watching it. Like, I get that vibe, but we're not like, I think in just a general takeaway is, I think there's a lot of conversations and a lot of things that are presented that are that I would say that were pretty enlightening. But I don't think the whole piece is that. I wish I felt that way about the movie more so than just like these certain scenes or these certain people that give her kind of a deeper sense of who they are or what they represent. And, you know, it's not what you may think. It's not what you may read. It's not what you may see in music videos. But there is, and you're right. I mean, it may just be a case, but either way, I can only review what she provides, and if that's all she had. But I feel like there's a lot more there that it's just like it's they're making you aware of it, but we're not really gonna get into it. It's almost, and I don't know. That's a struggle.
There is a nugget from Method Man that I want to particularly talk about when he says, like, the black man just wants to know his history, and they don't teach that to us in this country. And I thought this is from like 20, almost 30 years ago. 30 years ago, and we're still having like similar conversations about the state of education today. Well, and that was particularly jarring when I saw that. I was just kind of like, damn.
Well, I do think there are moments throughout It Was All a Dream where we haven't really come as far as we think we have.
Yeah, exactly.
It just some from the music, some from the culture, some from society itself. But I do feel like there's, again, overall, I think it was quite interesting to see. I just thought it would kind of be more striking and effective in certain ones, especially when you are seeing these guys that some of them have gone on to great success. We know, they died early, like B.I.G. And so, but then it just seems like we're not willing to explore more. And maybe that was just the beginning for Dream, and maybe it didn't happen until years later, but there's a lot of stuff I feel like was just unanswered, or just like, man, it seemed like we had something good down here, but now we're just kind of being like ushered off into something else. And I kind of feel like I kind of want to sit with that. And sometimes you didn't get that chance. And then, of course, I mean, and I'm glad it was addressed, but just kind of the whole, like, I wish I got more footage of Tupac.
Yeah.
They go into a little bit, a tad, but I mean, he gets 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, and when I say 5 minutes, I mean, he's not in it at all. She talks about him for maybe 5 minutes.
Where did you land star rating wise?
It's kind of tough. I don't know if I've officially landed. I would probably say 2.5 to 3. I'm circling around.
I'm at 3.5.
Okay.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I just felt like I wish there was more footage, and I wish that Dreamhampton had been able to kind of explore the issues that were presented a little further. And that's really my only gripe about the film. But I thought it was really cool to kind of be that fly on the wall for some of these moments, to kind of see a different side of some of these rappers, and to acknowledge some of the issues, the problematic issues with the genre even back then, and the larger statement about our country and kind of how it's evolved or not evolved over the course of 30 years. I thought it was, to me, I look at it as like the tip of an iceberg, and it's kind of like, you take this, and if you choose to, if you're particularly affected by it, like, do the legwork to explore it more, find other issues, like The Source and some of the other magazines at the time. And like, it's a great starting point to kind of dig into some stuff further. I just wish, as a viewing experience, like, we would have gotten a little bit more in the moment.
I do too.
And again, it could just be a byproduct of her. Like, maybe she just didn't have the camera, the camera.
I just feel like an hour and 20 minutes. I could have watched a little more if we would have expanded and explored a little more.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Cubic Zirconia?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to, because we saw it. I guess. I hate, we're at a film festival, And you and I talk about this quite a bit. When you come to a film festival, it's a mixed bag. You never really know what you're going to see, but the spirit of filmmaking is alive and well. I don't want to fault anybody for taking a shot, taking a swing at something. And in this film, I think there is a particular story that's there that you can kind of see, hey, this probably could have been good with better execution, but I felt that it was just so like, man, I couldn't get over it. And again, we're talking about filmmaking at this level. Like, yes. I don't want to grill anybody too hard, but like
there's no sound, budget.
There's kind of like soulless chemistry between the actors.
Oh, man.
And it just kind of like from the jump, I watched the first 4 minutes and was just like, I can't connect.
Right.
I can't.
Oh, it doesn't get any better after 5 minutes. It is one where, listen, it takes God knows what to make any movie.
Yeah. I mean, congratulations.
So I get it. And that's what film festivals are for. It's kind of discovering. This seems like a local one because it's all within Memphis. And I'm sure it's local actors. Maybe. I don't even know if they're actors. I can't tell. So, but technically, I mean, there is a lot of issues. And here's the thing. We've been to enough festivals, seen enough films where that doesn't always kill a movie.
Yeah.
But what does is if the writing and the directing, and then you start adding in the sound and the editing,
start closing in on you.
and then you're like, oh, this is even a story that first of all has been done 1,000 times and it's been done 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
There's really nothing to like besides them just getting it made, overcoming that obstacle. This is not a good movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a good movie on any level because there's so many things that are so noticeably bad.
Yeah.
That you can't even enjoy it.
Yeah. I feel bad for beating up on films at film festivals like this because you get a lot of this stuff where people are just like, you know, we've talked to people that are just like breaking into the business and like their first film is a part of a festival and you don't have the experience, the well to draw from to really craft it out until you get those reps. So you gotta kind of work through some stuff like this. And I hate to beat up on anybody for going through that, but I also, just to be transparent with our viewers here, the people watching right now, this was the worst film I've seen all year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest. Out of respect, I probably won't even include this in my worst list because I don't. I'll be honest. I don't. It's kind of your point. I don't really think it's fair.
Yeah,
but I'm here at the Indie Memphis Film Festival and watched a movie that I don't understand how some things.
I know we're trying to be so careful.
Can't be corrected in post. Like there have to be some things where the director and writer, the same person, has to know this doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
This is confusing. Why did we cut here? Why did we get the least charismatic person to be our lead? Who it doesn't matter. This is a crime thriller about a woman who has been found dead. They don't know where her children are. And the guy, I don't know his name, but the guy who's leading it talks like this the entire time, and it doesn't matter what they're doing. High-speed chase. Can I have somebody come back on around? He's turning into his residence. I'm just like, oh my God. Okay. And then they bring in the TBI, and let me tell you something, folks. They don't have shit between them.
No, and it's
actually like awkward and kind of cringe.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, but I think we try to be as considerate as possible at these festivals when we encounter a film like this. But I think it's still, you know, we have to look at it as like we're critics here. Like this is our obligation.
You decided to show it to the public.
It's our
as
obligation.
The kids would say, this is a movie that exists.
I will watch anything. I will give anything a shot, but you have to be willing to accept the fact that I'm going to give my opinion on it. And that was pretty difficult to
And
get
listen,
through.
I watch his next one as long as if he learned from this one.
Yeah, give him a shot again.
That's it.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, that's all that's on the agenda. Those are the first 2 films that we saw as a part of this. We've got some stuff scheduled today. We're going to get away from the festival for a little bit too. We're going to go check out another theater in the area. Watch a little. What's the film called? It's the
Real Pain.
Getting a lot of buzz.
Jesse Eisenberg. I think he wrote and directed it. He also stars in it. Kieran Culkin's in it. He's getting a lot of awards buzz. So yeah, I think we're going to try and check that out, and then
back to the festival.
Yep. And then get our things together. Pizza. Maybe we'll have some pizza.
Yeah. I'm going to be on the Hot Read podcast later talking Titans Vikings. Yeah. We got a busy day planned, but for now I got to go shower my sweaty, hairy body.
Oh my God, that's right. I got to do my hair.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Day 1 of Indie Memphis here, the Vick's Flicks podcast on the road. We will be live to recap day 2 tomorrow morning right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. He is our resident film critic, Mr. Big Shot Brandon Vick. I'm Big Natural Stoney Keeley, and until next time, you stay classy, moviegoers. Welcome back to the Vick's Flicks podcast, live on the road from the Indie Memphis Film Festival, recapping day 2. I'm your host for the show, the EIC at SoBrosNetwork.com, Big Natural Stoney Keeley. You can follow me on Twitter at Stoney Keeley. Collectively, we are at SoBros Network on all major social media platforms. Come on in, jump in the comments wherever you're watching from, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Let us know what you're doing on this fine Saturday. We'll just talk about your weekend plans on the show.
That's what I'd like to hear about.
We are joined today, of course, by the man whose namesake this show bears, the resident film critic of Sobros Network. He is a board member of the Music City Film Critics Association, member of the Southeastern Film Critics Association, Mr. Big Shot, Brandon Vick. Brandon, how are you doing on this fine Saturday morning in Memphis?
I'm a bit tired.
Yeah, I'm a bit tired too.
I'm a tad sweaty.
We've been going pretty hard the last couple of days, though. We haven't slowed down to stop moving. We've seen at this point we're on 6 films total and 5 podcasts. Well, 4 podcasts for us, and then I did the hot read yesterday. Yeah. So we haven't stopped moving a whole lot. It's starting to. We ain't as young as we used to be.
No, but we got a lot of shit done.
We did. Yeah, we did.
That's the good news.
And the other man with us this morning is our utility man at Sobros Network, Mr. Stephen McCash. McCash, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I just got notifications that my favorite website just went live, so I was wanting to share that with the world.
What's your favorite website?
SoBrosNetwork.com.
Oh, yes. How about that?
So I was just sharing with the world that they're live. I'm tired, and I only saw one movie.
Yeah.
But true. I stayed up and watched a circle on my Netflix feed.
Tough scene Netflix.
That was buffering for about 2 hours.
Well, here's the good news. They're not going to be showing live anything else. No football, no wrestling. So
they've just canceled it altogether. That's breaking news.
Good news.
Here first.
Yeah.
Good news.
Netflix was like, I'm sorry, we're too embarrassed.
Yeah.
Y'all go find other.
So are they going to like record the games and wrestling and send it out on DVDs, and you just have to do it old school?
Get it in the mail.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
That would be awesome.
I'm cool with that.
So, McCash, what have you seen from the festival so far?
I've seen Boys Go to Jupiter.
Okay, yeah.
I have some films today and tomorrow to kind of catch me up with you guys. But and then there's some stuff virtually I want to go back and watch. I just got to plan out that time. You know, I'm a busy boy.
I hear you.
Battle of the Bones.
Battle of the Bones is tonight. Yeah, for those that don't know, it's the rivalry between Memphis and UAB, and they compete for a giant rack of ribs trophy.
I honestly didn't know that was a real rivalry, and I'm an alum of the University of Memphis. I just thought, hey, we just beat the shit out of UAB all the time. So
yeah. Well, before we dig in, I just want to give a shout out to the Holiday Inn Express here in Memphis. These beds are quite comfy.
They've really impressed us.
Yeah.
I don't really know what expectations were, but the breakfast is fine. For a free breakfast, no problems. Bed feels great. A lot of friendly people that work here.
You do know where Holiday Inn started, right?
No,
in Memphis.
Started right here.
This building.
We're in the original Holiday Inn Express.
Damn. Okay. Well, they have the best hotel coffee I've ever had too.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't drink coffee, but
I'm just gonna lie down.
I'm just gonna say Z, our chef,
Yeah, Z's awesome.
She was a bit.
Z rules.
Can you hear me? I think I just got,
There we go.
There we go. Somebody tried to get comfy and unplug me.
Well, it's the headphone jack.
But she's our chef. She got a little sassy today, but
I wasn't going through line the right way.
Yeah.
But,
well, we both weren't, because I was following you.
Yeah.
And she said, "Why don't you start over there?"
And then the second plate, I did start from right to left, but I had to go back to get gravy to pour on top of my plate.
What are you doing, guy?
She said, next time I want you to start from the right side. And I said, I did, but I got to come back to get the gravy. And she said, oh, maybe I should put the gravy on the other side then.
She said, Z, if you're not careful, there won't be a next time.
Yeah.
So I did not say that. I want the record to show I did not say that.
Well, Jonathan, who works at the front desk, was lovely yesterday.
Do you want to see if we can get him up here? Come on up.
He is working.
Tell him to bring a chair.
And I didn't get the lady's name who let me take that chair up here.
I didn't
Thursday
either.
Night, but
I didn't either.
She was a delight too.
I will say, when I was walking up, there was a gentleman who was walking up the street and then went in to the Holiday Inn looking like he was not staying here at all. And just
breakfast.
He got in line and got him some breakfast.
Yep, that's fine.
I've pulled that one before.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'll be honest.
Oldest trick in the book.
Yep.
Oldest trick in the book.
That's fine.
Brandon, we got to sneak off a little bit yesterday away from the film festival.
Beautiful Malco Theater.
Yeah.
It's Ridgeway.
Germantown.
Yeah.
Not the Nashville Germantown.
No.
It was beautiful theater.
Yeah.
Nicely decorated for the holidays.
It was.
Had real old timey kind of charm. And we saw a real pain. And it's been getting good reviews.
Movie that he wrote and directed and stars in, and Kieran Culkin.
I want to see that.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's a solid 90 minutes, but it's one of the best. It's one of the better, not better, one of the best films of the year.
Be a contender?
I think it will be. I think Culkin
he's getting
do
buzz,
and there's some writing or something like original screenplay maybe. I think there's some momentum there for sure.
We slammed some Aldo's pizza.
Nice.
Yeah,
Aldo's. I don't know how to pronounce
Aldo's.
it. Okay, Aldo's.
Yeah. Tomato.
Yeah,
it's good.
It was good, but that's all the local fare we had, unless we want to count the toasted ravioli I had at the Ridgeway.
That counts.
Yeah, it was good.
Counts.
It was good enough. Got the job done.
We haven't had any like movie popcorn yet.
I can't say that.
You
had a giant tub.
I devoured a giant
and
tub.
he had that barbecue one, whatever was in our bag
from the Rendezvous.
Yeah. Oh
VIP
man,
bag.
It was good snack.
But
yeah,
I was just thinking, like,
Indie Memphis
last night
takes care of the critics, man.
Yeah.
They do. They've been it's been a great experience.
Yeah,
it hasn't been. I kind of like that it hasn't been overly crowded, and you got to stand in lines to get in.
Yeah, it's been really chill.
In the parking lot and not have to pay.
Everybody's been super nice, super helpful.
It seemed very appreciative too when we went to go get our badges.
Yeah, that was
nice. I don't
nice.
know her name either, but she was like, "Well, we really appreciate it. We had to scale back this year, but I don't know. Everyone just seems very thankful and nice."
Well, one thing people can do who are a fan of film festivals is help this one out by donating money to it, so they can get big name movies. Like last year, my first year covering the theater. The festival, they had Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage, Anatomy of a Fall, American Fiction, Robot Dreams as well.
Oh yeah,
they had a great lineup last year.
Yeah. Well,
and next year, I'm looking forward to seeing what next year brings.
I would make this trip every year to cover this festival.
It's an easy trip for you guys from Nashville.
Yeah. Love Memphis content too. I'm excited to get into the travel and food aspect of it. But the festival itself has been it's just been super easy is the word I would describe. And
it's been laid back
to do what we do. I love it when a festival's easy because it makes everything else so much smoother and simpler for us.
And what we do. Fight traffic going to Franklin to see a movie.
Yeah. It's not spread out all over town. Like I like that. Yeah. I like what they're doing here.
Me too.
So let's dig into the 2 films that are 5 films we'll be talking about today. I think We'll start with the one that all three of us saw, Boys Go to Jupiter. Who wants to kick us off with their thoughts on that one?
I could do it.
Go for it, Brandon.
I loved the animation. I don't really know how to explain it more than just like the old video. What was
it looked like an indie video game you would download off of like PlayStation.
Yeah, like it's very bright, colorful.
Yes.
But it was really back and forth with me. This is essentially just a coming of age story about this kid really just trying to get $5,000 so he
high school dropout.
Yeah, so he can just go and get his own place. But it's way more than that. It's a lot stranger
Very.
Than that. But I liked it, and then there would be times where I didn't like it. There would be times where
that was my experience too.
It was really interesting. It was funny. Then there's times where it's not funny. I'm bored, and it felt like we kind of did that dance for an hour and a half.
I really liked the design of it, the color.
Yep.
I thought it was a really interesting animated depiction of Florida. And I thought the colors were a really nice homage to the Sunshine State.
Yes.
And I really loved the sound, and the music was just awesome to me. I love the synthwave, deep, like droning vocals and that sort of stuff.
It
and
is
I just
played like a video. Like it really, like if you close your eyes and you just listen to it, it kind of sounds like some of the old video games,
well, it's like
much less looking like
when
it.
you're playing a video game and you get to a certain part and there's like a scene you have to sit through. It's like they took all of the play aspect of the game out and just made a movie of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you want to picture the colors for not seeing the film, picture a Taco Bell in the 90s.
Oh, great comparison.
And that's the colors of this movie.
But I caught myself thinking like this would be like a 5 out of 5 movie if I had 17 beers at Chili's before we came here. Like I don't do drugs, but that's the kind of movie that like I feel like you do drugs before you watch.
Someone behind us when we left, I heard him say, "I should have taken that edible."
Yeah.
I just heard people behind me talking throughout the whole fucking movie, ruining half of the film.
I think it was specifically one
person,
woman who, like, I heard him talk about like whatever those kids were.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I have this kid. Like, and she has one of those voices that even like there was times where I don't know what she said, but it's like a humming in your ear. Like I can just hear.
You just want to swat at it.
Yeah. But I did think there were components of the story in this film that just felt a little unnecessary. It felt a little bloated, and it wasn't even that long of a movie to begin with.
It's 90 minutes, but it feels like you're sitting through like Oppenheimer.
It does. Yeah, it does.
There are times where it's like
it's just a lot that you don't need.
And then by the time it wraps up, and I won't give anything away, but it's just like I don't know if I'm really...
I like the weird. I like the off the rails. I'm okay with the way that it ended, but
I don't even mind with some of that, but I think it's because there's other scenes where I feel like we're trying to keep some sense of reality.
Yeah.
And I get that this is not like the real world. I'm clear on that, but I
really jumped the shark.
But yeah, I don't know. I think with the tone is kind of all over the place, but the animation and everything really kind of keeps you immersed in it. But that, like, I think the biggest compliment is the look and the style of it. I'm not the story. I'm not all the way there.
I don't even hate the story aspect of it. I just hate the pace and how
pacing is an issue.
Bloated and mismatched some of the things are. Like we really take our time with some things, but then others we're just breezing through onto the next scene, and it kind of creates this disconnect where you end up feeling like, man, there's a lot of stuff in here that is too slow burn that we're spending too much time on.
Yeah, and like when he goes to the dolphin factory,
a
little bit of that, and then the guy,
the putt course.
Yes, the guy at the putt course. I just thought, I don't even know why we're doing this.
And then you have this subplot of our main character maybe having a love interest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that love interest has her own love interest.
Yep.
And then,
which I don't even remember them seeing each other.
I don't think there's a point in the whole film where they ever see each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
maybe at one of their things where she might see them once.
Yeah, maybe. If it happened, I don't
recall. I would say
it.
I can't even really remember, but I feel like they were all in a group and then they separated.
And then you get the supernatural love interest at the end.
Yeah.
Which made no sense.
And you get that hidden spaghetti guy who's a spaghetti critic.
Yeah. I want to be a spaghetti critic, by the way.
That would sounds awesome.
That'd be a good job. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a mixed bag for me.
The thing I noticed first in the film was when the opening credits are rolling, I see Janine Garofalo's name. And I was like, oh, there's somebody I know.
Yeah.
Because, she's not the household name she used to be when I was younger. But then after the film, during the whole film, I think all three of us were like this for a while. We're like, which one is Janine Garofalo? Because
yes.
I don't sound like herself.
I only had one guess, and it ended up being right after it was over, because everybody else just sounded young, sound like kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if she's not this person, I have no idea who she's played.
Yeah.
But then I looked at the cast afterwards and I was like, oh, there's some heavy hitters in this film. Like Elsie Fisher.
That's
that's from grade 9? Is that what it's called?
Eighth grade.
8th grade.
But then she's been some of voices within the Despicable Me movies. And she's done some other stuff, but yeah, that's the first name I noticed actually.
Julio Torres, who did Problemista. Was that what it was called?
Yeah. He
was T-Bone.
That's right.
And then the gas station guy.
And the Brontosaurus.
And the talking Brontosaurus, yes.
Yeah.
And then my surprise, and I'm so excited she's in this film because I just absolutely adore, but Sarah Sherman, who's on SNL. She's like the really quirky, short-haired girl.
Yes.
I
knew that name looked familiar.
The beatbox kid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I will say, I think the voice cast is stellar, and everybody involved in that movie, they were game. They knew the quirkiness and the weirdness, but also this kind of romance and this, some type of mystery to it as well. But yeah, there was too many times where you pull me in and then I'm totally disconnected from it. And it just felt what felt like more than 90 minutes of that going on. It didn't totally land with me.
This seemed like something that would have been perfect for 30 minutes on Adult Network. What was it?
Adult Swim. I thought the
Yeah.
very same thing. I'm like, this is like an Adult Swim movie.
And then I wonder, was this a short that then then they wanted to make it a 90-minute? Because sometimes when you run into some of these issues, they're like, that's what happens, is that was a short that they built upon. And that's when you start adding stuff that is unnecessary.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, let's talk about the second movie that we saw, Brandon. Dory Previn, On My Way to Where. It's a documentary about musician Dory Previn and her struggle with schizophrenia. That's
what they say.
I felt like this film was more or less like the life and times of Dory Previn, and less a documentary about mental illness and combating schizophrenia and still functioning for what was a very successful music career. So I was unfamiliar with Dory Previn before going into this documentary.
Me too.
I read the blurb about it, thought it sounded interesting, thought, that's one I'd like to check out. And I just don't feel like that was what I expected. And there's a large focus on the music and the life. And I just don't feel like we ever got to a spot where we really talk about how she got through the schizophrenia beyond just the clips of writing.
Well, she talks about how the only really insight you get to that is she talks about her therapy while she was committed was with the typewriter, and they kind of go on from that, and then with the lyrics they kind of write them on the screen for you to make sense of, because I failed because then I stopped caring eventually. But I'm the same way. But it's not even so much about her life. It's really, I mean, her career, mainly with her husband, Andre,
which they were only married for like 11 years.
Yes, and then he left her
for who for who?
Mia Farrow.
Yeah.
And that was it. So we learned that part of her life, and their huge success. Worked on a lot of very significant Hollywood musicals, got nominated for Oscars, and then we kind of just skipped to the 70s, where she, like, I know they show a couple things from the 60s, but then with Mia Farrow, and then that's it. Like, there's no really, like, she writes about it, sings about it, but we don't get anything else. And then he's never mentioned again until the end. Like, I don't even, it would nice to know, like, did they ever did they ever meet again? Or, but they showed the letter from him when she, because
did they talk about, she got remarried. Did they
did,
okay.
They did talk about that. And then it's mainly about her 70s and those albums. And then the 70 to 77, I think. And that's not my kind of music. And I don't even think it makes sense, but people loved it somewhere.
It was, it is pretty astonishing that so many people were interested in that. And, they do kind of talk about how
they're talking like Joni Mitchell, and it was kind of the rise of where, like, what did the lady say, that people cared about what women felt or something?
But it was really interesting to see how some of the things that she was saying in her music, they touch on it with the record executives telling her, like, there's no way we can release this stuff. Like, listen to what she's saying. Like, this is,
some of it was bleak and dark.
And I was kind of fascinated by the idea that she still got the traction to make all these records. That is just some of the lyrics, like, it sounds like schizophrenia.
But then it's like, and you have a sense of maybe where this is coming from.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that we don't even really,
they say a line,
try to dig into.
It's just like,
So I wasn't familiar with her, and I didn't get to see the documentary. So I was like, you said her music's not your cup of tea. So,
in the 70s.
Yeah. So I was like, what is she? And then I looked up, she's like a singer-songwriter type.
Yeah.
And I just happened to pull up on her debut album, and there's a song called With My Daddy in the Attic.
Yeah.
There you go. That's part of it.
So I'm just scrolling through the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, I think this is about child molestation.
Well, they don't really go into that. The song is in it, but it was mainly her dad wanting her to be this famous actress.
My bad.
Oh my God.
Audio's playing through the computer. Making sure the stream's up. That's all.
I don't think there's ever any. Was there an indication that maybe she was
no
abused?
They just
I could be reading into these lyrics.
He did basically wanted her to be famous. Clearly there was issues there. But again, there's so many things that are just, even if they're mentioned, but they're certainly not explored. And then there's some things that we only focus on this when, I mean, like the plot says, it's all, you think like we are, I mean, obviously we're going to know about her achievements, accomplishments, and a little bit about her personal life. I think it was mainly with her husband, which, flooded into her work. But the reason she got dumped, and then she meets this other guy, which they do interview him, and it's, but, and then that's really it. I mean, I think I definitely heard more about her fear of flying than I did about her mental health.
Yeah.
But I thought it was about her kind of being open about it. So the voices is what? Mama,
Max, and the lion. Yeah.
And there's interviews where she's talking about them, but we don't even like, why? Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it these three? When did it happen? What happened when you got committed? Because clearly her career took a tumble, and apparently it was in between, like after Mia Farrow and when she started doing these albums. And Stoney, we were talking about it, and Stoney's like, I don't even think the word schizophrenia is mentioned until maybe 15 minutes before it ends.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. By
the way, this is an hour and 20-minute movie, so it's not like we couldn't have maybe done, sprinkled some kind of more in-depth stuff about her condition.
Yeah, there's a lot of time spent on the fear of flying. There's a lot of time spent on the
really
crashing of the Hindenburg. There's a lot of time spent on lyrics, showing her kind of playing on stage. And like, even then, like, I don't feel like, I don't know. I felt like it might've been a breadcrumb to some of her other lyrics.
Yeah.
And we don't really get to like the source of the trauma all that much. There's just a little montage about her dad pressuring her into becoming a star at a young age. And
we kind of get a little childhood stuff, but it's like about 40 minutes in.
And there's a lot of time spent on the Mia Farrow stuff. And that's why I say
showing her and them being pregnant.
Yeah. And that's why I say it felt more like the life and times of Dory Previn than it does a musician struggling with schizophrenia, trying to make it through.
And the whole thing is, I thought, because she's dealing with this during a time where clearly it's not acceptable, and we get a taste of it when she defines madness.
Yeah,
but I wish there was more of that. Like,
me too.
I'd like to know what she's feeling more, and I guess that's where those songs come in, but I'm not getting that connection. I feel like the whole thing is more than an arm's length. You're not really, you're learning.
That's a great way of putting it.
Wikipedia stuff.
Yeah.
When it kind of feels like it's a letdown because you think you've been promised something that's maybe going to be more insightful and, introspective, more than just like, well, we did this and married my husband. Then we just go through until, she's in her 80s and we're done. So
yeah. We didn't do a star rating for Boys Go to Jupiter. So if you guys want to think about that, McCash,
I have it in my letterbox
already. For the time being, do you have one for Dory Previn on my way to where, Brandon?
Yeah, I would give it 2.
I'm with you. 2 out of 5. Yeah. What about Boys Go to Jupiter, to go back to that one?
I've got 2.5.
I've got 1.5.
5.
My 1.5 is strictly for the voice actors and the look of the film.
Yeah,
Now, what's weird is that, and there's a little bit of the story I liked, and that's what got me to 2.5.
Okay,
I'm at 2.5 as well. Do we want to talk about Christmas Eve at Miller's Point?
Yeah.
All right. What did you think of it? You didn't see that one, right, McCash?
I had tickets to it, but I decided to be a good husband last night and hang
good
out
call.
with my wife.
Good call. Good call. This is a pretty easy one for me.
Well, you start.
I just, if you like looking at Christmas decorations, it's a festive feeling kind of movie.
It's more a vibe and atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of drama in the family. There's basically a family getting together on Christmas Eve. Clearly, everybody kind of has their own issues. Their mom's passed away, and there's basically the only thing that's really, I guess, that it's about is there's mention of he's going to sell their mom's house.
Yeah.
The other siblings aren't, but it's not. It's not really the family drama you think it is. It's not a comedy either.
Yeah, I didn't think it was very funny.
There's a lot that it doesn't really.
It kind of just feels like you're spending Christmas Eve with someone else's family, and that's about it. And nothing ever really happens.
No, and it's got. I mean, I think it's more about the atmosphere, and obviously it's November, 'tis the season.
Yeah,
but it's a different kind of Christmas movie. It's just, there is a lot where it feels like nothing happened and that it is boring.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you get glimpses into characters and them. And then like one of the kids, she does run away and some of it seems like it's a bit of like parts of it self-discovery. A lot of it is kind of the family drama, and there's a lot of reflection on it, but you're not really, you're not totally involved in any of the characters. And it's all really just one night, really, or I guess one day. So you don't really get much out of it. It looks like you said, if you want to have that feeling of Christmas and kind of like, when all the family comes over and they're all, they all have their different opinions. It seems like no one ever, not everybody gets it. Like, it's got that energy, it's got that liveliness. But then as far as the story, I don't really know if there is one.
Yeah.
I will say I saw this on Twitter and I thought, you know what? If you have this if you come at it with this approach, I think you can maybe at least appreciate it a little more. This was from Isaac Feldberg. He says, Tyler Teramina's Christmas Eve in Miller's Point is a mosaic of memory, an impressionistic portrait of Silent Night.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying I totally agree with it, but reading that and thinking back on it, that makes more sense, and maybe that's where the filmmaker was going with it. I do think memory plays a big part, but I still fall back on, I still don't really see anything that intriguing going on, and I don't really know what it had to say.
Yeah, when the schedule came out, I had that listed as one of the top ones I wanted to see, because reading about it, it kind of gave me like, this is where I leave you vibes, but at like Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'm excited because I love that movie, Jason Bateman and everybody else that's in that film.
Mm-hmm.
But now that hearing you guys talk about it off air and on air now, I'm like, okay, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah, it's really just that feeling of Christmas Eve. That's about all I really walked away with.
Did you feel it in your fingers and in your toes?
No. Call back to episodes that haven't even aired yet.
I did not.
Come back to this episode in a couple of weeks. And you'll get that reference.
Yeah, so that leaves us with what? I know you saw Black Box Diaries. I didn't see that. McCash, have you seen anything else for them?
No, my big heavy hitters are later today.
Today, and then, I mean, I know we've technically talked about Memoirs of a Snell, because that was at Nashville, but that is playing tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Crosstown.
Yeah, at Crosstown, and that's going to be a heavy hitter.
Yep, and then there's Flow. That's going to be another animated one.
Yeah,
that one I'm really excited about.
That it's really good. No dialogue. The animation is fantastic. It's kind of end of the world, and this cat joins up with these other animals, and it's really well done. It's very different. Not different like Boys Go to Jupiter different.
And it looks like a video game as well without the gameplay.
It does. But the nature and stuff, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And Memoir of a Snail is a different kind of animation, but it's really good too. Memoir of a Snail, like I said, is one of the best animated, one of the best movies of the year, I think.
I still have the Mark Gasol documentary that I've got from the virtual cinema that I should I'm going to be able to watch hopefully tonight after we've all kind of settled in for the evening. But that leaves us with Black Box Diaries. So if you want to send us on home.
It's really good. It's very powerful. It is in line with kind of the Me Too movement that happened in America, but this was going on in Japan about a journalist who was drugged and raped by a high profile person in the government. And it's her fight to get justice. And it starts with her coming out, showing her face, going public. And then it's kind of the fight. She wrote a book on it called Black Box. And it's her trying to cope with it, her trying to find peace with it, her trying to find justice for it, hold those accountable, get those responsible. There are people that are scared to come forward. There's other people who are brave enough to come and help her. But it's really, it's her journey through this horrific event. And, unfortunately, it's one of many stories that we now know of. And again, this happened before Harvey Weinstein stuff broke in America. So now that is addressed in the movie, and it does kind of give her chances a boost as well. But it's really about other people that were involved that come forward. And anyway, it's sad, but it's also, and it's infuriating and it's frustrating, but it is about determination and perseverance. And it does have, it is about hope, because it's she is the subject who's doing this, who directed it. you can't get any more vulnerable than this. But it was quite powerful, and it's been on a lot of kind of end of the list nomination stuff for documentaries, and so I'm hoping it continues to get more recognition and let the story be told. But yeah, I liked it. It was very effective, and it's a fight that countless women are still going through, but this single one does leave you with hope, and that if you just can't stop fighting.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do it. The people make it very easy for you to do it, that don't want to hide it, want to cover it up. And, but I don't know. It was very courageous, very brave for her to come out when she did, much less now with the book. The book is in the documentary. Now you have this documentary. So it was good.
Star rating?
I would give it at least 3.5, maybe 4. I'm still kind of okay. But well worth. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best of the film festival. For sure.
So what's on the agenda for today?
Well, we're all going to go see Bonjour Trustees. It's actually a 1958 movie.
Oh,
being
okay.
redone, and I think it may be based on a play.
I thought you were saying this adaptation of it was from 19. I was like,
no,
I don't think Chloe Sevigny was alive in 1958.
But when I was looking something up, I kept seeing this one, and I was like, oh, it's been done. Which I think it actually I think it is a French film in 1958 version,
and it's getting multiple screenings this weekend.
Yeah, it's got a few, and then I think we're going to go see The Homie, which is another documentary that's been getting a lot of buzz here lately. I've been seeing it on a lot of lists. I'm
going to Flow.
And you're going to Flow, and then you're seeing Nickel Boys tomorrow night, which that's the big one.
The wife is going to see Rent Free tonight while I'm at the football game.
Yeah. Rent Free, which is one that I think we're going to be missing out on. But I've heard good things on that one. That's good comedy.
So, but Nickel Boys tomorrow night, is that at Studio on the Square or is that at Crosstown?
That's at Crosstown.
Crosstown. So that's going to be the big one for Indie Memphis. So.
Is that an A24? Because I know there's a couple of A24 films.
I think that one is A24. Okay.
We did find out that Christmas Eve at Miller's Point is IFC.
That is IFC.
I don't know if we actually said that on the air that it was A24.
But you and I think.
But we talked about it. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they actually when we went to see A Real Pain, they showed a preview of Nickel Boys.
Okay.
Well, that's going to do it for us this morning. Day 2 has been recapped.
There we go.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this fine morning as I record from a comfy hotel bed at the Holiday Inn Express.
You're in a position of receiving right now.
I am.
Moving all around that bed.
Well, it's really hard to get comfy and
spent 10 minutes talking about how comfortable the beds are.
Yeah. Well, I've got audio gear. I've got a laptop that is overheating. I'm trying to keep from shutting down.
Devices were in here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, gentlemen, where can our viewers find you on social media?
On Twitter at MC_Cash75, on Letterboxd at just simply Stephen McCash, and you can find me walking in Memphis.
How about that, Brandon?
Hey, Twitter at Sir Brandon V, Letterboxd Sir Brandon.
And I'm at Stony Keeley. I think I'm at Stony Keeley on Letterboxd too. I don't remember. I need to get my Letterboxd handle.
They type in your name.
Yeah. And then at So Bros Network everywhere else, SoBrosNetwork.com for all of our work. Rate, review, subscribe to the Vick's Flicks podcast. That is going to do it for us live on the scene from Indie Memphis 2024. For the utility man, Stephen McCash, for Mr. Big Shot, Brandon Vick, I am Big Natural Stony Keeley. And until next time, you stay